Welcome to Building the Future with your host, Kevin Horick. Get ready to explore the cutting edge of innovation and entrepreneurship. From startups to industry giants, we're bringing you the visionaries shaping tomorrow. With listeners in over 150 countries, we're one of the fastest growing shows worldwide. Join Kevin, a seasoned software designer and tech expert, as we dive into the ideas and inventions changing our world. Building the Future starts now.
Building the Future is brought to you by iClerk.ai. Are you a small business owner, a professional, or company looking to automate? Do you have difficulty hiring staff to perform mundane knowledge work like reporting, form creation, or information analysis? Leverage the power of AI and the automation of agents, even if you don't have the time or experience. Try us out with little risk and no upfront investment. It's time to work smarter, not harder. Visit iClerk.ai to learn more and get started today.
Welcome back to the show. Today we have Eddi Weinwurm. He's the CEO at ObviousFuture. Eddi, welcome to the show.
Hi, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on the show. I think what you guys are doing is really innovative and cool. But before we get into that, maybe let's get to know you a little bit better and start off with where you grew up.
So getting my biography is quite confusing. So I grew up in Vienna, Austria, very classical, very atypical. I grew up without TV, just reading books. It was quite boring back then. No internet, no TV, no books, but I don't know. It teached me one thing, like curiosity needs work. Yeah, you have to go out and discover instead of expecting that things get presented. Yeah, so I had to go to the library every week to collect a bunch of books. Else, my life would have been boring. Yeah, so. Yeah, classical European education background, I would say.
Okay, so what did you take in university and why?
So university. I studied philosophy. So that was my father told me, like, as a main subject. Do you want to become taxi driver? And so philosophy taught me to read, to write, to understand, and to reflect on things, especially to doubt things, doubt their own bias, and so on. And actually, that's something which helped me all the time. Yeah. So I always was in between two worlds all my life. On the one side, the logical, mathematical side, which I really love. And on the other side, the creative part, the more fuzzy, the creativeness and the softness. Yeah, so hardness and logic and mathematics and softness on the communication side and on the creative side. So I was always in between these two sides, and philosophy was a subject for me to where could unite both things, because it has the one side it has logic, and on the other side it had all these post-structuralistic theories and so on, which are very very creative. Yeah, so that was my university time. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. So walk us through your career up until becoming CEO of ObviousFuture, and let's dive into that.
Yeah. So honestly, I'm not often talking about this career because it confuses people. Because people
Okay.
tend to they want to put you in boxes. Yeah, and you
Sure,
either
yeah.
are in the nerd box, in this nerd box, or you're in the creative box, or in the management box. Yeah. So my career, I started fresh from university at the radio as a journalist. Later switched to TV. Made my career there, directed commercials and so on. And at one point, I don't know, I was getting, to write software was always
Hmm.
for me like for others going to the gym, yeah, because in this creative world, in this creative world, you're always everything is fuzzy, yeah. So every discussion you cannot prove anything. It's all speculation. Yeah? Why did a commercial fail or why did it succeed and so on? It's all relative. Yeah, it's all a big discussion. And the nice thing on writing code is actually when I came home, I sat down, write some code because it's so binary. Either it works or it doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
fair. Yep.
this was like going to the gym. Yeah. And at some point in Berlin, I was hired as a consultant for a TV station, and they had this challenge of getting their storage managed. And I was sitting in my my big office, bored. I had to attend a few meetings a week, and that's all. So I sat down and started to write this, and this started my first company. And very quickly, I switched from the creative side and from the visual creative side to the hardcore tech side. Of course, it was still connected. This product was from yeah was handling TV stuff, but yeah. So that's where I started my first company. And like 7 years ago, I was always interested in AI. Like from my childhood on, like talking with the computer, like what we do now, chatting with ChatGPT, it was always my dream. Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, so even at university, I took some subjects back then about AI and so on. So yeah, so I grew this company. It was quite successful, but I always wanted to go into the AI direction. And my partners back then, 7 years ago, did believe in this vision. There was this,
Interesting.
yeah, AI will never be, AI can never, and AI, blah, blah. So, yeah. And I really had this problem that I didn't want to administer a company. I'm a creator, yeah.
Sure. Yep. I get it.
So I stepped down as CEO and sold my shares and focused on AI before everybody else jumped on the train. Yeah? And it was quite difficult back then to convince people to join and so on. Yeah, and now this big AI explosion is happening, and we were prepared with our research, with our technology to take off from day one. And yeah, so it's funny because all these people who always doubt AI and were laughing about it, they are now AI experts. Overnight, they became AI experts because they can write some prompts. Yeah. So what we do in our companies, we do really hardcore AI research, and yeah, because we have the knowledge to do it. Yeah.
Okay, so let's dive a little bit deeper into how does it actually work and how do companies leverage your technology?
Yeah. So our big technology is to think against the grain or go against the grain because it's every AI these days is happening in the clouds. So all these models are cloud APIs. When you chat with ChatGPT or you have some Google APIs, it's all happening in the cloud. And this is actually the easy way to go because if you want to improve your model, you just add new parameters. You make it larger and larger. So AI is currently like exploding in size, and every model is bigger and bigger. That's the easy way to go. But what I discovered early on is like cloud is nice and great, but in a lot of cases you don't want to use cloud services because you have really sensible data. There are use cases where there's not even an internet connection. It's like a brick firewall, air gapped. Yeah, so of course there is also in these cases you also want to use AI. So what our first product is, for example, CaraOne, which I placed in the market where I come from because I really understand this market very well. It's audiovisual um, AI. Yeah? So used by, for example, major Hollywood studios. Why it's important for them? Because their production environments where they edit the movies,
Right.
it's isolated, completed. They have cameras watching the editors. They record the screens of the computers and so on. They have a security like the NSA. Yeah. So of course it's impossible there to connect to the internet or do anything like with this big model. So we came up with solutions which can run really this very deep machine learning stuff and tools, really on-prem, isolated from the internet, all self-contained in hardware we ship, so that they don't need to use really like a supercomputer there, but it can run on normal hardware, and that's the success we're currently having. Yeah. So media production, film production, TV studios, but also I don't know, big retail chains which use it for customer interviews and so on. So everywhere where you want to keep the stuff safe and secure and on premise, yeah, th- that's where we fit in because it was really hard engineering to make the models not bigger but smaller
Sure.
while getting them optimized.
No, that's very cool. So how do okay, so like if I'm in a movie studio and I'm editing, for example, how am I using your technology in that process? Or like how do I leverage your tech with in as a customer?
For example, the simplest example is you want to edit this interview now. Um,
Okay.
and then you remembered I told something about my childhood in Vienna,
Okay. Yeah.
and you have no idea how I formulated this. Yeah, what words I used. Yeah, so we're talking about Vienna now again, but probably that's not what you're looking for. Yeah,
Right.
so there you can search with this context-aware search, and we're talking about searches in really, really huge archives. Yeah, we have, for example, TV station which have 40 years of archive or 50 years. Yeah, so
Right.
searching there really with all this soft skill, like an assistant would for a footage by describing it, but describing it like really like in emotional phrases, yeah, not what will happen, what you really want to see, but what feeling it should represent, or searching in interviews. That's, for example, one functionality we have. Yeah? And when you search for a fast car, you usually in media production you want to illustrate something, and you don't want the fast car parked in a clip in front of a restaurant. Yeah,
Right.
so
Yeah.
yeah, so being able to search with like human description, that's one major feature we have. And then of course we have features which just help the editors. They help like they predict how this story can visually continue, and
Okay.
then you have different options, and you don't have to you don't have to like go through your material and find the right footage when the AI can already help you. So that's really there's a hot topic in media production, of course, that AI takes jobs,
Yep.
and we really take care in our product development that we develop something which is actually taking away the boring part.
Yeah.
So like when you edit this interview to shuttle around and to search for certain, it's super boring, yeah, super annoying. Yeah, so we have a lot of tools now included which just take away the boring part, that the creatives can really focus on what's fun. Yeah.
No, yeah, I 100% agree. Like I've been using AI for basically everything these days, right? And it gets you a certain part of the way, maybe down the road of an idea, but you really need to execute it, or you have to constantly like walk it through step by step to do certain tasks for you. And it's not really any different than starting with a template back
Yeah.
like before AI. Like it's just the next evolution of that. And I think you're right. It gets rid of those like minimal or like kind of boring parts of the job that I don't want to do, and well, nobody wants to do, right? So I can focus on the better and more fun stuff, right? And I think we're so far away from it really eliminating people's jobs, in my opinion. It sounds like
Yeah.
you kind of share the same opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I see there are two approaches to it. Yeah, of course, you can create AI which acts as like a person and which is then in competition to you. Yeah,
Yep.
but there is this other perspective which I prefer, and that's where I also develop my products too. It's what I call symbiotic AI. Like it's enhancing you. It's
Yeah.
enhancing you and your abilities that you can even compete with an AI, and you can compete on the market. Yeah. So these are the two different aspects. Of course, some companies will replace jobs with this really acting AI, but I think if we use AI clever and develop a clever AI, which can be really built this symbiosis with us, yeah, enhancing our perception, enhancing our thoughts, enhancing our expression, yeah. Um, I think that's really what we should aim for, and that's really what I can recommend to everyone. Yeah, start using AI. Start using it to be really in a symbiotic relationship and get support and get the best of it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, no, that makes a lot of sense. So, do you want to maybe give us a few other use cases in other industries of how people are leveraging your technology?
Yeah. So. Of course, we started in this one vertical in the media and entertainment industry, and then we soon discovered, oh, this problem, yeah, it exists in a lot of markets. Yeah, and honestly, you know, everywhere where you deal with trade secrets, internal communication, contracts, and so on, that's where you don't want to send it to a third party. Because
Yeah.
not that you don't need to trust the third party, but you know, it all can be hacked, all can be abused and misused. And you know, you have a lot of regulations. We have, for example, in Europe, this GDPR, data protection, and so on. And this all is an administrative hell if you really interact with third party services. So, yeah, what we offer is, for example, you know, in the health industry, yeah, you know, patient data are the most sensible data you can have. Yeah,
Yeah.
and um, there, of course, AI can be quite useful, or like monitoring of a facility. Yeah, you have a camera which is watching your top secret research lab. Do you actually want to live stream this information? Yeah, of
Yeah.
course not. Yeah. So I think you know, with every new technology, we have these two phases. The first phase is, yeah, it flies. This Wright brothers, okay, it flies, and we don't care. The first car used, I don't know how many gallons, whatever. So we didn't care. But soon after, then the phase of engineering and optimization starts, because then it's the question, okay, we cannot just pump more gas into it, yeah,
Yeah.
or really build. I don't know. Now we're building atomic power plants just to run these AI models. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we should start to go into this engineering and say, okay, how can we optimize it that it's really interesting for business? Yeah. And
Interesting.
of course, in this optimization, we can also go further and say, okay, can we optimize it that much that we can run it on-prem on location? Yeah.
No, fair enough. So, how do you basically get in front of a customer and then figure out what their needs are? Because that healthcare space that you just obviously there's a million things you could do in the healthcare space, right? So, how do you like kind of because people are I think people are still scared of AI, and then you're going into something where it's like very like patient data. There's a bunch of laws around this stuff. So like how do you go in, sell your services to these, big organizations and governments, and then still be able to create like a product out of it
Yeah, yeah.
and service?
So honestly, we get approached. The people
Okay.
see what we do now in the media business, or what we achieved in the media business.
Yeah.
And for example, we have one big retail chain here in the US, one of the biggest actually, which started to use our product in the media production, because they have, of course,
Okay.
an in-house media production, social media production, and so on. And then for example, the customer research passes by and says, "Oh, what's this nice AI? We also want it," because we have this endless Zoom interviews with customers where we check
Yeah.
the market trends, and then we want to search, okay, peanut butter recipes or whatever, yeah. So
Hmm.
you want to these customer interviews where they check really the customer values. They have to be very open, because you want to have the customer talk freely. So for example, then the approach is, yeah, this is a good idea. So it's currently working this way, because a lot of companies are missing the expertise. We're talking
Yeah.
now about chief AI officers and so on, and then these are future jobs. Yeah. So that they really also, huge companies lack the really expertise, and then they often hire some young college kids or script kiddies, which think, okay, I download some models from Hugging Face and I have my product ready, but they never experienced engineering and how much it really, what's the difference between a prototype and a product.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
So, so
Interesting.
I mean, this really surprises me, because I'm talking with huge companies. They sometimes really lack an understanding about the whole topic. Yeah.
So how do you bridge that gap though? And how do you start educating them about AI and what they can and can't do with it? Because there's so much misinformation out there about what AI can do today, what the promise people are hoping for it can do in the future. So like how are you actually working with these companies to actually say like here's what we can do and here's hopefully what we can maybe do in the future?
Yeah, yeah. So, when we have a ready, really a finished product like CaraOne now in the media industry, I always prefer to make, these POC installations, which is proof of concept. They get something delivered, and then I say, oh, but don't upload as technician test material. Let the end users play with it, because
Yeah.
then it's solved. Then I have it solved, because the end users don't want to give it out of hands again. Yeah, so I get them hooked on it. Yeah, that's actually, when you have really good product, the best approach, that we say, okay, we ship a unit there, we install it, and it's an end and sold. Yeah,
Okay, so are you building like a physical box then that houses your technology? Is that what you just kind of said?
yeah, yeah. So we don't build them ourselves. Of course, we have
Okay.
partners who do this,
Okay.
but of course it gets pre-installed. That's what we call an AI node. And the nice thing on this AI node is you can cluster them. So if the customers want to use this in other sectors, or want to expand their data set or whatever, they can buy additional units and linearly cluster this. Yeah. So we want to keep it as simple. That's our goal, as simple as connecting to an API. Yeah. And I don't know if you played around with these APIs
Yeah.
of AI and so on. They're quite easy to implement. So
Yeah.
our goal is to come to a similar, yeah, setup. It's plug and play. Of course, it needs a bit of setup currently, uh, but in the end, yeah, it should be as simple as possible. Yeah, that's the
Oh,
reason why we really ship this as boxes. Yeah,
okay. So I want to dive a little bit deeper into that. So you called it CaraOne.
yeah.
Okay. So and what does that actually do? Like walk us through from like becoming a customer to actually getting it and using it and the whole setup, because I'm curious to know how the hardware and software kind of fit into that.
Yeah, yeah. So most usually, it works this way that you have some assets, um, you have some archives, or you have some production asset. Depends. For example, you have a Netflix show documentary you filmed for 3 years. So you install our appliance, connect it to the storage. The AI automatically starts to analyze the storage, starts to watch these clips, the assets which are there, and then you can just have a user interface which is very intuitive, where the creatives then can quite easily work, search for them, get I don't know, recommendation how to continue stuff and so on. So that's also, again, we want to keep it as easy to run. Of course, there are then use cases when we go really into big installations, like we did now for a major science fiction franchise, training on their universe. Yeah? Where
Okay.
then our models really learn to identify spaceship by parts or planets by their trees and so on. Yeah,
That's
um,
cool.
yeah, that's for my engineers and uh, data analysts. It was really fun because they love it. Yeah,
Sure. Yeah,
Go through
totally.
this, yeah,
That's
it,
cool.
it's. It was highly motivating them, yeah. So, but that's then additional services we provide, yeah. So, because as I said, we are really, these models we are having, we're really developing them ourselves. We're training them ourselves. We know how to come up with new things. Yeah. So even if they want to have new functionalities, AI functionalities implemented, we sit down with our engineers and we come up with solutions. So yeah, so we offer more than just this plug and play box. If they really want, we can integrate this into existing infrastructures and so on, or come up with custom models, custom training, and so on.
Okay. No, that makes sense. So the hardware box itself, you mentioned you partner with people. Like, is it basically just like a Linux computer, or kind of what's in it exactly?
Yeah, so it's a Linux box. Yeah, so it's a
Okay.
Linux box with a strong GPU in the end. Yeah.
Sure.
So we want to keep this also as efficient and as as affordable as possible. We don't, it's for the customer in the end. It's much cheaper to buy this. Even we would also offer this like as a service, yeah. But it's much cheaper to buy this than to go into this, use all these APIs, because these cloud services, the costs, they are really significant, yeah. And
Yeah.
now imagine you have 50 years of archive, yeah.
Yeah.
Sending all this somewhere, this gets really expensive, yeah.
So, I 100% agree with you. So, roughly what's the cost of a box?
I'd say between 40 and 50K.
Okay.
And that's the starting point, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And I don't know, we have customers which then have like really a lot of these boxes, but
Right.
we really build them so that they are easily to cluster and easy configurable and hot swappable and stuff like this. Yeah, because we really, that's the thing. Yeah, we want to bring AI down from the yeah it flies to okay, here it runs. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. So, walk us through maybe some. I see on your website you have some government use cases. Do you want to maybe give us some of those as well?
Yeah, that's no, the government use cases. There are now some projects we are having, but they're not really like customers yet. But
Okay.
because it's quite complicated, doing
Sure,
something
I
with
can imagine.
government is bureaucracy squared. Yeah, but I don't want to complain. But no, the thing is like most governments, they're really limited in AI news use. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this creates a huge imbalance. For example, patent lawyers, they are now allowed to use ChatGPT officially. Yeah. So
Right.
they research. Okay, what does the what does do other patents say about this and so on? And the examiners, they're not allowed to use it.
Right.
So this creates a huge imbalance, yeah, and this is in many sectors, yeah. It's even like I don't know for tax or for everything, yeah. Usually, government agencies are not yet allowed to use it, yeah. So there we see, of course, a market. Yeah, the government itself wants to invest now. I don't know if you hear this about 10, 100 billions and so on, because they see this
Yeah.
problem. But if the government builds something, it takes some time to, it's really running. And yeah. So, yeah, these yeah, different verticals we see where we fit in. And in the end, we want to expand to a lot of sectors. Also, with this easy to use, we ship your hardware, you plug it in, and you get a product. Yeah.
No, that's really cool. So I want to talk a little bit about what can you actually do with AI, and what are your kind of thoughts around AI right now? Because like I wanted some of the gadgets that were, like came out last year when they were promised, a bunch of stuff. Like I really wanted some of that stuff to be true. And I think the perfect example is like the Rabbit R1. Like I wanted that thing to be what they said it was.
Yeah.
I pre-ordered one, I got it, and it's the biggest piece of garbage and it's sitting on my desk collecting dust.
Yeah.
And so to me that was the perfect example of something that like I wanted it to be true, but it's completely nowhere near what was demoed on stage.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people kind of have that, like they're terrified of it because of like what's promised, but the reality is so disconnected. So can you maybe talk about where we are, because you've been in the space a long time, and,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
what your thoughts are?
So that's actually the future vision I have with the company, because we have Moore's law that the hardware gets more and more performant,
Yeah.
and this is now especially true in all these GPU applications.
Yeah.
And on the other side, we are working against this because we try to make the thing smaller. And I
Yeah.
think one big problem we currently have, and even if I use ChatGPT, the voice chat,
Yeah.
is you have this really awkward delay of replies, and you're sharing the resources, this model, with millions of others. So you can sometimes wait really long for the reply. And actually, what I'm dreaming of, glasses, while I'm looking, point at different things, like see, or even like darken down some parts of the vision and enhance the point where I should look for. So this part of AI, which is really like responsive
Yeah.
and therefore can just run on your local device. Yeah. So I think that's a lot of that's a huge problem in the experience. Yeah, because
Yeah.
if I have the smart glasses, which I really love, yeah, and I really wish I have it like soon in a working
Yeah.
version. Yeah. Yeah, but this responsiveness, and you're developing UX, yeah, you're a UX
Yeah.
developer, you know how
Yeah.
important responsiveness is, yeah.
100%. It's almost like the number one thing.
Yeah. So, and there I see the crossing point. It's also a question of privacy, because when I have this symbiotic, what I call symbiotic AI, I want to have it always on. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I don't want to give my brain when I enter the house. I don't want to put my brain on the cupboard. So, but I also don't want to stream what's happening in my bedroom.
Yeah.
And there we again at this point, yeah, where we say, okay, it's nice to talk with ChatGPT about business and whatever, but when it gets really about private issues, and when maybe really this AI starts to watch my daily life and is on 24/7, I
Yeah.
want to have it on me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, the other thing too is I think you also don't like, especially if you're wearing glasses, you don't want them like, again, it's kind of like Google Glass was like the first kind of thing with that. But if you wore those out in public, everybody was like so uncomfortable, right? And you also looked kind of ridiculous.
Yeah,
So you need something that looks just like regular glasses. And obviously some of the some of the amount of actual surface area where you can even stick a battery is basically non-existent, right? Unless you connect a cable to a battery pack like kind of the Vision Pro does. So we're kind of like we're in a weird place, right? Where
yeah,
the
yeah.
tech's not really there yet compared to
But
work with the hardware.
there is a lot of investment going on in this sector, and I think we will be there. And I don't know. I wish, you know, I'm really bad in remembering names, and on a lot of conventions, and
Yeah,
I always need my assistant next to me, which whispers in my ear, "Oh, this is now Tom, whatever," and ask him about his children. Yeah.
right.
So having something like this,
Yeah.
kind of assistant, I would love it. Yeah. Just a little plug in the ear which is transparent to the normal audio and gives me some enriches my perception. Yeah,
Yeah.
this alone would be amazing.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I 100% agree. So, as somebody that's building hardware for AI, like how, and I know I've seen what like kind of Facebook and Meta are doing with their glasses and the Snap glasses and whatnot, and all these, like I played with the Vision Pro. Like, how soon do you actually think we are out from that? Are we 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? Do you know
Uh,
roughly?
I would say, it depends what you demand. Yeah. So
Okay.
if you want to really run a GPT-4 model on your phone, this takes at least more than 10 years. Yeah.
Okay.
What we do, for example, what's our trick? How we get our AI smaller is because we are using compounds instead of monolithic models. It means, like, for example, this media solution we have there, like now over 10 different models,
Okay.
which makes sense because, when you ask ChatGPT about a cookie recipe, it
Yeah.
has to pass through all these layers with all this information about quantum physics, Shakespeare, and so on, just to give you the right amount of sugar to add. Yeah,
Right.
which is a waste. Yeah, so we use, for example, expert models. Yeah, and
Okay.
pipelines of models, which or routing models, which say, okay, this model is handling this and that. Yeah, so clever engineering in that. And what I see earlier is an hybrid, yeah, hybrid. So that you say, okay, you have some models running locally,
Right.
and then you have, if it's really the heavy lifting, reasoning can then happen in the cloud,
Okay.
something like this.
Okay.
What
Kind
is
of
the,
what Apple's trying to do with Apple Intelligence and failing
yes,
miserably at it.
yes, kind of. But yeah, that's what I meant before. It's easy to build a prototype, and it's fucking
Yeah.
difficult, sorry, to build a product. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And it's interesting because like if a big company like that is struggling to build, simple things, then, like but the caveat to that though is you can build some pretty incredible things with it if you kind of walk it step by step through, prompts, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, and in the end, it's all engineering, and you can, a lot of companies are now like, the thing like, okay, one woman needs 9 months to give birth to a baby. Let's hire nine women and get it done in 1 month. Yeah. So that's currently the philosophy there. Yeah, so just throwing a lot of clever scientists onto a problem doesn't give you a product. Yeah.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
they are more reacting than acting. Yeah. And our advantage is because we started 7 years ago with all this, we are acting. And we were the first to, for example, introduce this semantic search in the media sector. Yeah.
Yep.
Long before everybody else, and all the others, the big companies like Adobe and so on, they had to react. And
Yep.
and that's the state of the industry. And then you get something like these products which are half baked monsters. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. What about the AGI stuff that we keep reading about? What are your thoughts around that?
AGI, like a general intelligence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. If you ask me as a philosopher,
Yeah,
uh,
okay.
no, I think it's coming. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think we humans are not so unique. Our language is not so unique. That's really the weird thing, that language models were much quicker trained, and much quicker, it did show up much quicker in research than all these image models. Yeah, we really understand visually, or robots are still bumping against stuff. Yeah, and
Yep.
language models writing academic papers. Yeah, so we understand that maybe, yeah, of course, we are the best, which is known to us as humans, but why should there be a limit of intelligence which can't get better than us? And I'm thinking we're heading there, yeah. And probably, with the next generation of OpenAI models, we will have really PhD reasoning, and yeah, so we're heading
Interesting.
there. If it's good or bad, I don't ask me. It's weird. I didn't.
Okay.
When
Yeah.
when I had this wish, I want to talk with my computer. I didn't expect this. Yeah, that I'm living this dream actually. Yeah.
No, that's really cool. Do you have thoughts or advice for people to maybe stay relevant in their careers, or things that they can do to make themselves more valuable? Because especially in tech right now, it seems to be coming out of the doom and gloom a bit. But do you have any advice for people that are maybe looking to get into tech, or are kind of panicked about all this stuff in tech?
So my advice is the advice I give to my developers: use AI as much as possible, and yeah, and that's I know software development from before AI, and I know it now. And for me, the difference is we are just much faster. We can achieve much more in the time. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what changed. But my team size didn't change. Yeah, so I don't know how it will be in the future. I don't know, but maybe. Maybe AI plus human is still of more value than AI without human. Yeah. So
I think so.
yeah, so having this human creativity, and maybe even human weirdness of creativity, and there's again where I mentioned in the beginning, I'm in between this world of creativity and mathematics. Yeah,
Yeah.
so having this weirdness, yeah, uh, additionally as an input, maybe helps up, yeah, makes our product, what we produce, when we work together in synergy with AI, maybe this little better that we can beat pure AI. Yeah. So I can just recommend everyone keep up to date with AI, use it, learn to use it, and learn to handle it. Yeah, to guide it. Yeah, and
Yeah. No, I think that's actually really good advice. So you've mentioned ChatGPT. Is there any other AI tools that you find useful in your day to day that you'd recommend people try out?
No, from I don't know. From me, I'm lazy in this way. I'm using the newest model, there one, and yeah, that's mostly what I use as a sparring partner. As I said, I learned to write. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was my job back then. So I'm writing, but I'm using it to get feedback. Uh,
totally.
Using it as a sparring partner for ideas, that stuff. Yeah. So I think. we should just, that's also what I recommend, to think more creative what you can do with it. Yeah. And not just like do this for me, but maybe ask me something. Yeah. Maybe
Interesting.
make me reflect my bias I'm having. Because, you know, in business, for example, as a CEO, I have to make decisions. Yeah. And I have
Yeah.
my bias. Yeah. So turning it around, yeah, that's, for example, what I also can recommend. So be creative also in the way you use it.
Yeah, no, I think that's actually really good advice, but we're kind of coming to the end of the show. So how about we close with mentioning where people can get more information about yourself, Obvious Future, and any other links you want to mention?
Yeah, obviously, yeah, on ObviousFuture.com. Yeah, one word, ObviousFuture.com. Or add me on LinkedIn, Eddi Weinwurm. And yeah, I'm always happy to, yeah, as you see, I'm always happy to talk about it because I'm
It's good.
thinking a lot about this.
Oh, very cool, Eddie. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to be on the show, and I look forward to keeping in touch with you, and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, bye.
For more episodes, you can find us on all major podcasting platforms or visit IamBuildingTheFuture.com. Join us next time and keep building the future.